All right, so this has been a crazy, crazy trip. Up until the last moment, like 1 hour ago, I was in my hotel room fucking pacing back and forth, like screaming at the computer, hoping to anything that this thing would work. And here it is for you guys. And I think someone in this audience has a beer for me. I don't know where you are, but you're probably there somewhere. So yeah, this is 10 of us met up in Peru, in Cusco. If any of you have been there, it's the worst place you could be to make a rollerblade movie. The altitude is crazy, so you can't breathe. The sun is it's like the highest UV rating in the whole world. So if you're out there for like 5 seconds, you're burnt, even if you're black. It's just brutal. And we ended up making this film, and I hope you enjoy.
Wow.
What that shit was crazy, video. By the way. That shit was crazy. You guys, hold on. You need to be out here more. You mentioned some of like the struggles and everything of shooting this, but by the judging those fire moves in there, I don't see any of that happening. You guys killed it regardless of the altitude or heat, whatever it was. Do you want to elaborate on all those struggles that you had?
I think Marc, out of all of us, suffered the most, so I'm going to have him speak about it.
Hey. Yeah, it was, as Bina said, all the conditions were very hard. If you're used to skate in like perfect concrete or the best sliding rails in the world, you get there and you're like, the run-up is dirt, man. We gotta skate? Yeah, man. And everything turns into sessions, so it makes everything way easier. But yeah, I had some falls. That's why Bina said that. But at the end, we all got clips, all got incredible experiences, and that's what we're gonna get, the experiences of like being in another part of the world, seeing different ways of living, and just doing what we love the most. Like, you can do it whatever. It's proof that you can do it whatever you want. So, yeah.
Yeah, that video was awesome. First of all, everyone give it up to all these guys. These guys absolutely killed it. That was incredible. So, Bina, you were saying about how it's one of the hardest places to skate. The altitude is really high. The sun is really hot. Let me ask you, what made you want to take on this struggle, this mission? Because it seemed like you said, not an ideal place to skate. So I wonder what made you plan this trip and what was behind it.
So I went there like a few years ago with a girlfriend of mine, and kind of was like looking around the city, thinking that it's incredibly beautiful, like picturesque and everything, and it's like one of these places where it has this feeling where like you just want to be there, even though like, yeah, maybe some things like really suck about it. Like it has this like magical feeling there. I don't know if any of you have been, but it's like a recommended place to go. And I was living in Argentina at the time and kind of like put out the idea of these guys coming out to film a project in Cusco, and it ended up to where the Spanish guys were coming to Argentina, and everything kind of like linked up to where it was like a possibility to actually make the project happen. So then we just started inviting everyone because we didn't know if it was actually going to happen. Then everyone was like, yeah, I got my tickets. Like, so we had like a 3-week window where some people were leaving earlier or like arriving late, and I mean, we did what we could, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's like when you're there, it's incredible. Like it sucks to skate because the altitude, you can't breathe, and the sun, it's like it's just like brutal. And then when the sun goes away at nighttime, it's like freezing cold. So it's like these conditions are crazy, but it wasn't really about that. It was more about, I don't know, just being in like a strange foreign land where like,
it's kind of like the experience and the journey. Like,
yeah, it's like you don't see people skating there, so like why don't we like challenge that? That's kind of like what I'm about. I don't know. I think it's cool.
I dig that. And
I've been in different places. Real quick, I've been in different places where you're in a different country where people don't really see skating and they all react differently. Did you notice anything like that with the locals skating down there?
Yeah. We had actually like a really positive, I would say, right? Positive reaction. Like people were. It's like, yeah, in Europe or in the States or in like places where there's more money, like you have people that are really like worried about their property or these things. But there it's like they're just, I mean, we were outside of like the tourist district. We were like in like the cut like of like the crazy, like the places where they don't see like white people. They don't see like tourists like walking around. We're in like these like crazy areas to where when they saw us, they were like, this is fucking awesome. And for us, that helps us. And that helps like everyone. So like everyone is in this like good mood. The police are into it. The locals are into it. The kids are into it. And it's like all around like happiness. Like
that's such a good feeling.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you could really tell that by like watching the video how like different the whole like atmosphere is, like the whole like street skating scene, like even the spots. I'm wondering like, you know, I saw Matty like try a trick like 15 times and then like get the energy from his cigarette to land it, you know. But I'm wondering how like other than Matty, who's obviously invulnerable to the thin air, how much it was affecting everyone else.
Who wants it?
Oh yeah, good.
You're fucking talking.
So the question was about the altitude, the air. Yeah, I mean, yeah, altitude, air. What? Okay. Well, on the first day I arrived, I thought it was okay for So here's an example. I'll give you a visualization. You're coming in the plane over the sort of mountains, and then you spot this sort of strip in the middle of the city, and you're like, I'm not landing on that. And then suddenly your plane lands on this strip of concrete in the middle of this city. You look like you're gonna crash. And then you land. And then as soon as I walked out the plane, I noticed there was a lack of oxygen in the air. And then I thought it was fine. And then later that day, I started to get like a mad headache. And for the first 3 days, it was like my brain felt like it had swollen up. Like it took a really adverse, weird effect to the altitude. But that's pretty common. But then it mellowed out. And then when you're skating, just 5 tries on a trick feels like 15, just due to the exhaustion it gives your body from being having less oxygen in the air. But the cocoa leaves help.
That's what I was gonna say.
Just as a little pointer, the sort of Incan way is to...
Or the cocoa candy or the tea.
Yeah. So the crew was definitely... That video was definitely made or influenced by coca tea, fueled by, coca. Yeah. But it's a medicine. Okay? Let's get that straight.
I want to
sell
add,
it everywhere. It's okay. It's legal.
No, I just wanted to add that it sounds everything very hard, but once you're surrounded by your homies, everything makes it way easier. And from your couch, thinking about this is gonna be so crazy, but then when you're there, everything flows, you know. And you have to walk 1,000 stairs down to go skate in the morning, and then you gotta walk like 2,000 back at night, and you've been skating the whole day, and you're fine. You're doing it for 2-3 weeks.
You were straight skating around from spot to spot too, like no cars or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Just walking and skating. Jeez.
Yeah, it's like very terrible, but
the struggle's real.
But good at the same time. It's terrible now, like or before, when you're thinking this is gonna be so hard. But as I'm saying, when you're there and all the situations flow and it's way easier, and everything comes to a joke, or everything comes to like, oh, I've never seen this, or like, I don't know, it's
It's very special. Just want to say that.
You want to say something, Dom?
Yeah.
I know you're reaching for the mic.
On the first few days when it was just me, Bina, and Matty, we were kind of going like this up and down the hill, and then we soon learned to just like kind of go up and come down once, because it was like the first few days were exhausting, you know, like chasing spots like a zigzag up the hills. And then we also learned to use the taxis. They were quite nice. On the way home, when we found out how to say where to go home to, then taxis were a good help.
That definitely helps out. A lot of people, does anyone else want to touch on that? A lot of people may not know that was all original music by a fellow blader, right? You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I like had this idea where, like, from here on out, like anything that I make, I want to have like it 100% like without outside influence. So like I think starting with self-produced music, like music produced within the rollerblading community, I think that's like really important for, like, I don't know, for everything. And for this one, I'd moved to New York like right after the project and met up with Anthony Marchione. Like, you might know the name. He's a kid from Philly that used to skate for Valo. Really sick kid, incredible musician, and he has this band called The Mysteries. And I went down there for a weekend and kind of like told him what I wanted and like kind of like pushed him in like this direction of like Peruvian psych music. I don't even know what you would call whatever he made, but it was like incredible. And he fucking laced it. So a million thanks to Anthony. Like, he saved everything.
I was gonna ask because I know Anthony did the whole soundtrack, but the first song sounded like something different, like indigenous or like.
It was all him.
It was all him. Wow.
It was all him. Like I went there to record like some flute tracks on a Peruvian flute, which we ended up not using because we drank too much and it all turned out bad. But yeah, like everything that he made, or everything in the movie is him. There's like one song that is him and his band. That's an unreleased song. But it's like when you hear it, it sounds Peruvian. Like, he killed it.
Yeah, he did a really good job of that. That was awesome.
He's like the Quincy Jones of skating. Just making scores for movies.
And he did it in literally like a week and a half. Like, how is that even possible?
No, that's totally like amazing when you keep everything in-house. Like, you know, like the production, the skaters, and obviously the music just all come from bladers.
Yeah, that's like the first time I heard of a soundtrack being made for a skate video like that. Like, after the skating's done and everything. I've never heard of that before. Have you? No. You're first. You're a pioneer.
I don't think so.
You are a pioneer. Come on, you're a pioneer. I think these guys wanted to open it up to a Q&A with the crowd if you guys have any questions. Anyone here have any questions for the boys? Don't be shy. Oh.
For those of us who have a little spare pocket change and want to support you, where can we get it?
I think tonight the idea was to have like we made a book, we made a photo book of the project and like posters, and we have and clothing and stuff. And the movie will also be available like probably in a few weeks. We had like I had crazy technical difficulties like with the whole thing. So yeah, I would say in like a week or so the film will be available. But tomorrow and Saturday or Sunday. What's tomorrow? Friday? Friday and Saturday, at the trade show, we'll have a booth at the bar with like all the books and all the stuff. If you're interested.
Great job, everyone. Really amazing video. I was just ask Bina, how nervous were you shooting the whole thing on film? Like, in order of, you know, sometimes stuff get lost or you don't know how it turns out or whatever, you know? Like, I must have been crazy to just think, like, I'm going to shoot the whole thing just on film.
I don't know. I kind of like the fact that it was like this huge risk, because it's like if it didn't turn out, like the trip would just had never have happened, you know? Like we all went into it in like this huge mystery, and if it would have came out like that as well, I don't think anyone would have been like that upset. So like this was my first like, I guess, test of like what I want to do in the future, and I think all in all, like it turned out exactly how I wanted it to. So now I can like learn and grow from this one onto the next one and know what to do. But for sure, it was like a huge risk, like dropping that kind of money on like that kind of money and that kind of risk. Like in the beginning, like I mean, these guys, they're doing crazy tricks, and it's like, is it there? I don't know. Like we lost a ton of tricks, because like when the film ends, the camera doesn't really give you, like it gives you a really small window of like knowing if the film's done or not, you know? So like we had lost like a handful of tricks that were like bangers that are just not there. So that's the risk, but for the aesthetic and for the fact that you don't sit on this footage and you're like looking at it over and over and over and over, it's kind of like, I mean, it's the reason people still shoot film. It's because you shoot it and then, you know, a month, 2, 3 months pass, and then you see it and you're like, oh my God, like you're completely surprised, and like you have this, like this extra, someone help me, this extra like, this extra thing that you're excited about because it hasn't been there the whole time. It's not this instant gratification world. It's like the complete opposite. And it's like that gives you like this crazy motivation, because when you see it in the end, like these guys haven't seen any of that stuff until right now. And I mean, they didn't know if any of those tricks were going to come. I didn't know if any of the tricks were going to come out, but they pretty much all did. So
another thing that people might not realize, you saw it in the film, that you have to do the audio separately when you're shooting film. Is that what was going on?
The audio?
Yeah. So that's like another struggle too. You got to elaborate on the audio part, because for people who aren't like into video and stuff, might not realize what was going on when they saw everyone with their microphones in their hands and stuff.
Yeah, so the audio was like another huge hurdle that we had to go over, because this is our first time, well, my first time doing like film with audio, and pretty much like someone would want to do a trick, and then we would set up, and then it was like I just have to set up the audio and like give it to someone, and it would be like everyone worked audio, right? Yeah, everyone worked audio. So it was like sometimes it's like this guy's over here doing this thing. It's like for my next project, I will pay someone to be just an audio guy, because to deal with like it's a lot of responsibility. You don't think too much of it when you're watching something like that, but audio is like such an integral piece of the project that when it's not there, it's like you're really, really, really missing something. And nowadays, you know, everything's completely self-contained and automatic, to where it's so easy to where you can make a video project. But think just, I mean, 20, 30 years ago, and even now, people still pushing film, like it just adds a whole extra difficulty to it. But I think it's like more genuine in the way that it is. I don't know. I enjoy it, so that's why I do it.
Did anybody have any more questions? We got one in the back.
How many cartridges of film did you shoot?
This one was only 15.
Nice.
Yeah.
Torres, you don't get a mic.
The next one, hopefully more, a lot more. We got to get sponsored by Kodak. That's the thing.
Rochester represent.
It's the only thing you guys got besides Tim Adams.
Yeah, I was just curious, because like the end of the video ends like going to Machu Picchu, the holy mountain, then it kind of just fades away. Do you guys have any like particular stories or anything you want to share from that mission? Because I'm sure it was a hell of a hike.
The Machu Picchu hike, I know Mark was in front of me, but we were going up to the Huayna Picchu. It's like the third top one, and pretty much when you're walking up there, I was on my pretty much knees and like arms on that last little stretch. We thought it was going to be in there, not sure if you got the footage, but straight struggle, where how these people built what they built doesn't make sense, and especially when you see it in person and then on top of mountains. shit's crazy. It's a journey, and recommend y'all go checking it out. And badass, but struggle. Get ready to sweat and be miserable.
Yeah, it's like some of the stairs are like almost to 90 degrees, like up. So you're just like climbing like a ladder of rocks, and it's like if you were to fall, everyone behind you is gonna die. Like that's literally the situation.
That's gnarly.
It's yeah. There's some points where it was like if I fall, like everyone's dead. Like 10 people behind me, we're all gone, you know. And it's like it's crazy that they let all these tourists up there because it's really dangerous. It's really dangerous. So
I think everyone has a story. Maybe I'm sure.
No, everyone should say at least one thing.
Yeah.
Say one thing.
Come on.
That's one thing.
I don't think humans build that. Can they? I mean, not only walking up the hill was really dangerous. Also, the way to go to Machu Picchu, like the last town you get by car, it's like a dirt road which should only be one way, but they're using it two ways. And just by honking, they give sign that they come around the corner, and you just go straight down like 600 meters, like this steep, on that side. And it was like also a great experience.
Definitely thought we were gonna die in that car ride. It was really scary.
Yeah, absolutely. That's sick. How you try to feel good traveling around the mountains, but when you know that's so dark, and then you see how the cars come, and it's the lip in the side is them. But you must keep the faith in the people from the round, and that's all. Yeah, you must be faith always with the people from the area, because you are lost all the time, and if they feel you are very, very lost, sometimes it's worse for you, and then sometimes you must say yes or no. That's a difficult adventure, but for sure I want to say you do it. Try to do it because it's amazing. People in South America is so good, and for sure you are welcome again.
Yeah, like Audrey's saying, you have to really trust the people there, because, for example, we ended up in a town at 10 o'clock at night, and these guys just ran up and said, okay, we're taking you to the next town. And we're like, all right. And then they're just zooming across the cliffs, and you don't know if they can even drive. Your stuff's on the back, and you don't know if it's going to fly off.
They're doing good.
Yeah, exactly. But someone told me just trust, and I was like, all right, whatever. But it was a good experience. The guy ended up playing really good music and stuff, so it was a good trip. Yeah, it was a good trip.
I think walking, you could see it in the video, but we walked along the rail line from the Aqua place. Yeah, exactly. From there to the town below Machu Picchu, and you would hear the train coming in the distance and being, and you'd have to stand to the side, and that was a very interesting part of the journey. Some of the crew broke off a bit further ahead. Some of us went and looked at some rocks, and we were swimming in the water. It was nice. That was it.
Yeah, it sounds just like an amazing trip with like a side order of skating. You know what I mean? But it's amazing that you made such a good video about that. And yeah, great work. I mean, if anyone has any questions or anything, yeah, Miguel, come on up. Everyone, give it up for Miguel. Does anyone know Miguel? This guy's the man.
Hi everybody. I'm gonna try to ask a question this way. Oh shit.
Okay, take that one.
All right. Okay, so first of all, thanks for doing this, because since I started rollerblading, I dream of seeing a group of people doing things like this for their soul and just go out there for the adventure and know what they're getting out of it. So, really, thank you guys for doing it. What inspires you guys to, instead of going to your local spots and film and get your things around your comfortable zone, instead of doing that, what inspires you guys to get out there? To get out there in the middle of nowhere and just skating, and doesn't matter if you get a clip or not, or you don't know if the film is going to work or not. What inspired you to trust life and just go skating like that for the soul? That makes sense? Yeah, okay, sorry.
Good enough. Good question, good question. Who wants to start?
I just want to say I started skating without camera, and that's what I want to do forever. And that's without camera, just a trip with my friends. That's I feel I'm doing right. The camera is another option, but get a trip with all my friends and have a nice ventures together. That's amazing.
I think it also pushes yourself if you go out of that comfort zone, so you don't get lazy, and like new places always inspire you. Because if you see a spot that no one has ever skated before or thought about skating it before, then you get just like feel the trick you're gonna want to do there, and then just do it. And it's also enough in Cusco, like just get your clip, and then you have to have a break half a day.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that like I don't know, like when you're put out there in like this situation that is like unknown and uncomfortable to you, it's like none of us knew how we were gonna react in this situation. I knew a little bit because I'd been there before, but with skates and like doing the whole project, like it turns into a whole different entity. And when it's like when you're pushed to this level of like intensity of like not being able to breathe in the sun and like the crazy streets and the people and like this whole like crazy mix of things that are happening in this culture that you know nothing about, it's like you find this point of like bliss, I guess. You find this point of like you have to just submit to like everything that's happening, and you just have to go with like what is true to you. And I think that's why this group is together, and like why we are the ones that were on this trip. Like we were the ones willing to take the risk and willing to go the length to do something that hasn't really been done before. And it's like I said earlier, like if none of it turned out, like none of us would be upset about it, but now we have something behind it, you know. So
Say something more?
One more. I just want to add that most of the people, or like a lot of people, travels to Europe or North America to skate, but the world is so big, and the Spaniards wanted to go visit our fellas down in South America, because a lot of people from South America has come skate to Barcelona, so we wanted to go to their land and meet them there and experience skating with them there, because as I say, it's not very often that people from the world travels to South America to skate, and they're so grateful just by skating with people they've always seen in videos or whatever. And it's so great because they're like, I don't know, they're so grateful for that, and we definitely wanted to experience that.
Yeah, South American culture is very welcoming, very, no, some of it?
Parts of it.
Okay, parts of it. Are we cutting it, Yo-Yo? All right.
Actually, I just wanted to say something. Peter ended up on the trip because he heard me speaking about the Peru trip on Jump Street.
Oh, there you go.
And then contacted me because Peter's just come home today from a year in South America. So welcome back to Europe, Peter. No, but so Peter was in South America and said, "Hey, I'd like to come meet you guys in Cusco," and we were like, "Whatever, go for it." And the next thing is,
you didn't know each other before that?
No.
Oh, shit.
Not really. I mean,
crazy.
maybe we passed each other, but
That's
not
sick.
properly. No.
That's really sick.
So well done, Jump Street.
Jump Street creating friendships across the globe.
Yeah, and also Felipe. Yeah, Felipe, the other guy you could see in the movie there, is a friend that Peter met on the road from Chile, and he joined the trip. So there was many spontaneous things happened as well. The trip was quite open to that, which was.
That's one of the best parts of traveling. All
Yeah,
the
it was-
spontaneous moments, the random people you never know you're going to meet.
Yeah, and next
now
thing
you
you
have
know-
friends for life.
Exactly.
In a different part of the planet, you know. But thank you guys all for coming out. Thank you, Bina, for putting together that amazing film. Everyone give it up for them one more time. And keep an eye out for the book, right? Tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll have the books for sale, and the VOD will be up soon? Next week, VOD will be up, so you guys could buy it for yourselves and support these guys, and maybe they'll make a new one next year or something.
Yeah, and just so you know,
Hopefully this year. Oh yeah, it's this year already.
Just so you know, Bina has some hats for sale, right? Haitian hats and other things. So if you guys want to support,
Hit him up.
the things that Bina does, you can hit him up for that.
Mañana.
Tomorrow.
Mañana.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.